In a world where the news gets twisted, Jon and Tom stand tall, never wished it. MAGA hats on, they take the stage. With laughter and facts, they break the cage. Unsanctioned voices feel less and bold. Turning the tide, watch the truth unfold. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight. Lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, debating the nonsense of the woke parade. With every punchline, conservative trade. They tackle the issues with humor and wit. In Unsanctioned America, they won't quit. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite. As Jon and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight. Lasting through the night, shining light. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite. As Jon and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight. Lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, together they rise, wear their pride like a crown. In Unsanctioned America, never backing down. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight. Lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, shining light.
If the Democrats fail, it might be the end of American bureaucracy.
Our bureaucracy really is in fundamental peril.
The foundations of American bureaucracy under attack.
They want to destroy our bureaucracy.
We are a bureaucracy in danger.
We're watching an election where people are on the ballot openly advocating the end of bureaucracy.
That's what Republicans are doing, attacking bureaucracy, attempting to destroy bureaucracy, and they're doing it with glee.
This is the end of bureaucracy in America.
When will America stop sleepwalking towards the end of bureaucracy?
Right. It's Democrats versus, as Bill Kristol says, the end of bureaucracy.
We are essentially, as Neil put it, one vote away from sort of the end of bureaucracy as we know it.
I think our bureaucracy and the stability of that bureaucracy is really the thing on the ballot and really so important.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Oh, that's good. That's nectar of the demons. Well, no beating around the bush, okay? We lost the 2024 election, but this it's been one heaven of a week. Okay, I just want to say up front that I'm super proud of our team. I mean, the lies, the chaos, the hysterical push to trans everyone's kids and put tampons in the boys' bathroom. We did our best. We did our best. And unfortunately, God and the Republicans just played a better game out there. So I guess we'll take some questions.
What do you think went wrong there? It seemed like Harris and Walz were the perfect candidates.
Honestly, I could have run a drug parakeet and it wouldn't have made a difference. My Democrat followers will vote for anyone who promises them the right to kill their kids. So the good guys they just wanted it more, I guess. You know, the match was just kind of unfair, okay? It was a little uneven. I mean, it's not, on their side they had the truth, the Constitution, they have prayer, and they have Zachary Levi, you know, the guy from Tangled. And at last I've seen the light. Anyway, I know that we on our side have a lot of talent. Okay, we've got MSNBC, Joy Behar, Rachel Maddow, CNN, crying Jimmy Kimmel. And all those demon-possessed kids on the they, thems that they're screaming on TikTok right now, it's like, you know, great prospects. A lot of upside coming up through the farm leagues, you know. So.
What are the plans for the Hell franchise moving forward?
Bright future. Bright future. We'll keep trying to convince everyone that Trump's Hitler. Actually, this is kind of funny. We got Hitler in a special torture chamber right over there. And he hates it when we compare him to Trump. It's funny. He's like, I'm the most evil. See, I'm the Führer. He's just an orange reality star. It's classic. It's classic. One of the few points of joy in my life right now. Anyway, we'll probably just try to keep throwing Trump in jail and stuff and do a few more assassination attempts. Run a last-ditch Hail Mary, pick six, if you know what I mean.
What's the game plan for converting Republicans to your cause?
Well, actually, you know what? We did make some good headway in this arena. We got David French to do that whole evangelicals for Harris thing. So it's funny. It's really hard to say that with a straight face. So getting Christians to vote for a woman who supports baby murder is just like, we have, let's see, we have Liz Cheney. I love her. Anyone that's a friend of war is a friend of mine. We'll just keep pushing the woke agenda to the schools to try to brainwash Republicans' kids on TikTok. You know, it's kind of like, we're coming for your children. But for real, we are actually coming for your children.
Any other upcoming plans you can tease?
Well, I mean, actually, in the next 4 years, it's obviously going to be a rebuilding year. But, that doesn't mean that we're not going to compete and do a quality product and put it out there on the field every single day. See, we just released another season of Rings of Power. Oh, that's great. So we're putting pronouns everywhere. That's great. Dungeons and Dragons, board games, LinkedIn, which we also created. We got some more Blippy coming out. Nothing woke there, just pain and suffering. We're working on reducing legroom in airplanes. Gosh, excited for that. Well, that's it for now. I got a meeting coming up here about Bitcoin. No idea how it works. So, yeah, you guys got to get out of here. Hey, Wormwood, we got that meeting for the Bitcoin thing. We got to clear the room. Can you just release the shark bears, please? Toodles.
I don't know. Those are two great videos. I think that the first one, you had to tell me that was AI, and it's it was so believable, right? Because that's exactly, if you speak to every Republican, that's what it's about. It's not about anything else. It's about killing the bureaucracy. Yeah, we want it dead. I can imagine all the other Republicans like me who thought, wait, is this real? Is this real? They had to ask, is this real? Are they really admitting that? Because that's the actual truth. Are they telling the truth? And yeah. Great AI, great AI. Well, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned America. This is huge episode 250. Thank you so much. God bless all of you for watching. Please like and share the show. We're going to have a big show. We're going to give some stuff away for people who participate live. We really, really appreciate the people who have stuck with us, people who have commented, who have watched every show. We really do appreciate it. This has become a huge labor of love for me and Tom. We love doing the show. We love talking about this stuff. It's a great way to spare our families, talking politics 24/7. We get it all out on the show. We're going to do a quick prayer. I'm going to read the headlines first, and then we're going to do the prayer, and then we'll get into the show. We're going to have a cool stuff, which we'll talk about, okay? So on this episode of Unsanctioned America, the end of the American bureaucracy. That's the video that we just saw. Harris Walz team captain holds a press conference. We just saw that funny video. Trump plans to destroy cartels, abolish the DOE, raise the deep state, and force term limits. Incredible. I think that there's a giant nuclear meltdown by Democrats after some of these policy statements that Trump has made. And then we're going to get into the Trump appointments, which has really, even after he put out those policy statements, he started releasing the appointments. And man, the Dems are not taking it so well. They're losing their minds. And Biden is so great, he should resign and hand the office to Commie la Harris. We're going to talk about that. The PBD podcast blast the mainstream media. Big Pharma is in panic mode. The deep state is being advised to move out of the country. Imagine when the deep state is being advised to move out of the country, they've gone full-blown Latin American dictatorship. It's a banana republic situation, and now they're taking the appropriate measures like leaving the country. Fed and illegals say that they're above the law. The Fed and illegals say they're above the law, if you can believe that. Army of Spartans or Army of Smollets. We'll discuss that story. All this and more on this episode of Unsanctioned America, episode 250, big 250. Here we go. This is it. We're going to do a quick prayer. Lord, man, we are so grateful. Tom and I are very grateful for the blessing of being able to do this show, to have fun, to get together, to be surrounded by patriots who love their country, to be led now by a government that loves this country, to be led by people who have voted in a biblical fashion, people who have voted for sanity over insanity, people who have voted for truth under untruths, people who voted for democracy over bureaucracy. We could not be happier with the outcome of this election. We pray for these leaders to do and continue to do the right thing for the American people. That's what it comes down to. And we pray that the American people decide to do the right thing for you, whatever pleases you, and that we put you first in our lives. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen. Let's get into it, Tom. Where are we going to go? Yeah, absolutely. Big.
Our country is being poisoned from within by the drugs and by all of the other crime that's taking place. The drug cartels are waging war in America, and it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels. In this war, Joe Biden has sided against the United States and with the cartels. They are making more money than they've ever made before, times 10. There's never been anything like it. They're major companies. They're bigger than even some of our biggest companies. Biden's open border policies are a deadly betrayal of our nation. When I am president, it will be the policy of the United States to take down the cartels, just as we took down ISIS and the ISIS caliphate, and just as, unlike the situation we're in today, we had a very strong border, the strongest border, in fact, in the history of our country, and drugs were at a low of 45 years. There's been nothing like what we did just 2 years ago. We will show no mercy on the cartels. Every day, drug traffickers are using the waters of our region to ship their lethal poisons to America, killing so many of our people and ruining families. In addition to restoring strong border security, I will deploy all necessary military assets, including the U.S. Navy, to impose the full naval embargo on the cartels. I did that before, and it worked. What we did was incredible. We will guarantee that the waters of the Western Hemisphere are not used to traffic illicit drugs to our country. Furthermore, I will order the Department of Defense to make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other overt and covert actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership, infrastructure, and operations. I will designate the major cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We will sever their access to global financial systems. I will also work to forge an unprecedented partnership with neighboring governments in our region, just like I did in Mexico. And remember, in Mexico alone, an estimated 100,000 civilians have been tragically murdered or gone missing at the hands of these cartels. The Mexican government, run by a very fine man, the president, is really working hard, but it's not working out. These cartels are vicious and they're violent, and they have Mexico for now stymied. Well, we have to help Mexico, and we have to stymie the cartels. Either we will get the full cooperation of other governments to stop this menace, or we will expose every bribe, every kickback, every payoff, and every bit of corruption that is allowing the cartels to preserve their brutal reign, and it is indeed brutal. Finally, as I have said before, I will ask Congress to pass legislation ensuring that drug smugglers and human traffickers receive the death penalty. The drug cartels and their allies in the Biden administration have the blood of countless millions on their hands. Millions and millions of families and people are being destroyed. When I'm back in the White House, the drug kingpins and vicious traffickers will never sleep soundly again. We did it once, and we did it better than anybody else. There's never been a better border than we had just 2 years ago. It was strong, it was powerful, and it was respected all over the world. And now we're laughed at all over the world. And we're not going to let that happen much longer. We have to take over, we have to be tough, we have to be smart, we have to be fair. But if we don't do something immediately, our country is gone.
Yeah, Tom, I wonder, there are some people saying they can't hear you, so you might want to check that. I can hear you just fine, so it's definitely not, yeah. I don't know. How are your levels doing? Of course, to episode 250, we haven't had any issues recently, and now episode 250, we have all kinds of sound issues going on. Listen, we appreciate you telling them that. Michael, who was the first one to say something here? Walking Moments, thank you so much. If you leave your, send us a message. Oh, yep, Tom. We don't hear you, Tom. They're not hearing you. So to make sure that your stuff is all right, all good. But hey, let us know. We're passing out some of these gold playing cards, Trump 2024 playing cards. They're not playing cards. What are they, like baseball cards? Nice in a beautiful case here. We're handing these out. So send me a DM, Walking Moments, and we'll get you one of these into your hand. So you just saw one of those Trump statements, right? And Trump was just letting you know that he's taking all of these things seriously. I don't think I've ever heard a president come out and actually put his policies in the public like that. Reason being is that then you get challenged, right? You get challenged. I think that now you're good, Tom. I think I see your levels moving. Oh, so, okay. You know, now all of a sudden you have people, he's putting it out there. He's betting it. He's putting it on the line. He's making a gamble. When you have somebody like Kamala Harris who doesn't tell you what she's going to do, what her plans are, or anything else, you have, when he wins the election on Tuesday, on Wednesday, he's putting out 10-minute long policy descriptions. I mean, this is awesome. And I think this is what America expects. We expect for this to be the case. And hopefully, you know, he comes through. We hope that he's successful in that. I mean, it's pretty big. What do you think? Can you guys hear Tom now? Good now. Yeah, there you go. No, never. Well, you did see this from Bush. You saw it from Bush when he went to war, right? And then he came out with the very resolutely saying, we're going to go and we're going to win this war, right? And we've heard that, and that's the only time. But it shouldn't be only during times of war that our president shows some leadership, you know? We've never heard it like, it's off again. No. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I don't know. Can you guys hear now? I don't know. And you're changing screen. Maybe it's the screen that you're on when it's just you. I don't know, or otherwise. They don't hear you. So you work on that. What do we? I mean, it's just it really shows that this administration is not fooling around, and we've heard the leaders that he's picking for the cabinet position say that this is a 2-year timetable, right? That they're planning on this is only for the first 2 years. And if he accomplishes all of these things in the first 2 years, then they're going to be coasting the second 2 years. Basically what they're trying to do is ensure that they win the elections in 2 years. And if they lose the elections, they've already accomplished the greatest part of their vision for this presidency. So, I'm super happy about it. I think it's great. This isn't the only one that he's put out. What do we have? Do we have another one of these, Tom?
Yeah, we absolutely do. This next one here is President Trump pledging to abolish the Department of Education and give power back to the states. Here it is.
One other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I agree, Tom. Yay. Listen, as a former school board member, I can tell you that there's nothing that the Department of Education can accomplish on a local level anyways. We've had the Secretary of Education come to Osceola County twice. The first time he came, his entire focus was the transgender issue. Now, if the Secretary of Education is going to come down to Osceola, a failing school district, and then he's going to take a tour, of course, they take him to the best school we have. They take him to Neo City, where they get to pick and choose every single student that comes in. I mean, that's not, we don't need that.
Yeah, absolutely, John. We don't need that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Is your sound good? Are we breaking up? Yeah, there we go.
I think so. I was just checking where my mic was on a different app, so I was just checking, making sure everything's okay.
Yeah, I'm happy that he's going to remove the DOE. I think that it's worthless. I think that money should be spent. You could have a DOE in DC that consists of just keeping statistics and information, right? That is useful resources, a library of resources. It could be that. But certainly we shouldn't be taxing Americans in Kentucky to fulfill educational responsibilities in Florida and vice versa. Right. That by law, education is a locally designed and executed process, and it should stay that way. But we should be true to the meaning instead of just taxing Americans to provide that and not doing a good job. It's very telling that that Trump said that the DOE was started by Jimmy Carter, and that from when Jimmy Carter instituted the DOE till now, we went from first to somewhere in the middle, 32nd, I think it is. In industrialized nations, that's really pathetic.
Well, when you think about what kind of president Jimmy Carter was, I mean, it makes sense.
You know what he is? He's the most grateful president ever for people like Obama and Biden. He would have been even happier. He keeps going up. Like he was dead last, and now he's second to last. Then Biden comes, he's third to last. I mean, he's a grateful president, is who he is now.
Absolutely. All right, so this next one, John, this is the last one we're going to focus on, but there's a few more. So if you go to President Trump's Truth Social,
this is the big one,
or you go to his X page, you'll see them all. And this one is the end of the deep state. President Trump's plan to dismantle the deep state and return power to the American people. Here he is.
Dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Wow, yeah. So why is that big? Number one, it's huge because this Truth Commission, this is what happens in some of these we keep talking about it, these banana republics. There needs to be an accounting for these abuses of the people, right? Except that those countries never take it seriously. The United States is pretty good at executing its mission. And I think that this thing is going to be great. It's going to make everyone feel several things. Number one, they're going to feel confident in the elections, because I guarantee you this is going to go back to the elections as well. It's going to touch that. It's going to make you feel good about the fact that our bureaucrats, the people in DC, are actually doing their job. It's going to make you feel good about paying your taxes. Well, taxes, is theft, but it's going to make you feel good about the fact that they're making good use of your taxes. It's not going back to fill Dick Cheney's pockets or Liz Cheney's pockets. That's really important. And we're going to find out who's telling us the truth in DC once and for all, right? Yeah. Lastly, you can sleep at night knowing, and that's what this is. I think at the end of the day, this is all about, as an American, you can go back to your regular life. You can go back to sleeping at night knowing that your government is not working against you. All of these things combined equals that. And that is a huge, huge aspect to this presidency, which is already paying dividends to all the people, the majority of Americans who elected Donald Trump. And so that's big. But the last thing was that, the media, they're going to hold the media accountable. If the media is lying, then they need to be held accountable. And I don't care, I don't think that they should be licensed. I don't think that they should, be controlled by the United States government at all. I just think that if they lie to an American, they put it in public, like if they're not lying, then maybe they should be fined at that point. When they make the mistake, they're not going to put you out of business. They're not going to do anything like that. Nobody's going to go to jail, but you're going to be basically liable to an American. An American should be able to sue you for lying on the news and making you believe something that's not true. That's what I believe. And that way, the people that get the reward at the end of the day for their crimes is the American citizen, not the government, not anybody else. If MSNBC lies to the American public, I should be able to file a lawsuit and say, you lied to me. I watched you. I spent an hour of my life or a half hour of my life and I wasted it on lies. You owe me that time back. And according to, this law, according to this federal law, you now owe me the punishment for that is $100,000 in this lawsuit. And I guarantee you at that point, the news will never lie again.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah. Well, the news is failing left and right. We're going to get to that later, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But just amazing time.
Let us know if you can hear
now.
Tom, too.
Yeah, I was texting with somebody. They told me that they do hear me, so that's good.
Okay, good. All right.
But yes, it's an amazing time that we're living through right now, John. This presidency already is better than expected with what's going on, and
but it's even better. I had high hopes.
Yeah.
But I did not expect this much this quick, especially when it comes to the cabinets.
Yeah, and one in particular that I really like. Is actually, I wanted to talk about this one real quick. So President Trump is planning to tax excessively large private university endowments to establish the American Academy.
Yeah, that's great.
All right,
great.
And this is free online university for all, purely academic. You can get your bachelor's degree from the American Academy, and it will be recognized. It will be recognized for any and all government jobs, according to President Trump. I had that video. I'm trying to find it.
We might have had too much time to prepare for this show.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll move on from that. But it's just amazing. So, if you ever wanted to go back to school and you couldn't afford it, if you wanted to get your degree and never thought you could, you thought you were too old, any of those things, now you have a chance. And it's all because of President Trump and what he's planning to do for the American people. It's just amazing. But this,
imagine, he just created free university, but in the way that is American.
Yeah.
So you can go to Harvard if you want to. You can go to West Point. You can go to, God forbid, don't go to the Naval Academy. Go to West Point. You can go to, UCF. You can go to USF. You can go to University of Miami. You can go to the state school. You can go wherever you want. But let's say that you really are just interested in getting an education, doing it at your pace, doing it on your own. They're creating an option for you that doesn't cost you a dime. So now you have a right to education. You don't have a right to break the system and to make it your own, but you have a right to go get an education and get your credentials regardless of what your stature, your financial status is. That is a great call. That's something that nobody thought about. That's something that nobody's ever done. All these Democrats talk about giving you money. They want to pay your student loans. They want to do all this. They want to do all these things. I'm not arguing whether they're good or bad. I'm just saying they make all these promises, but they never have the intention of keeping any of these promises. They only have the intention of using their words to gain politically. Trump just does it. Yeah. He just does it. He created the option in the way that only a businessman could.
This is going to open so many doors for so many people, John. And the only thing you need to bring to the table is effort. That's what you need to bring to the table. You don't have to bring money. You don't have to worry about taking a loan that you'll never, get out of. It's just amazing. But one of these appointments I want to talk about specifically first is Tom Homan for Border Czar. Amazing appointment. Former ICE director, former New York City cop. He's an amazing guy. And if you forgot who Tom Homan is, you don't know that name, here he is.
3 different options presented. The third included the option for family separation. This initiative would pursue prosecution of all amenable adults, including those presenting with a family unit. Mr. Homan, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy?
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes, a zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy of separating children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Homan,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay. Mr. Chair.
Wow, man.
the memo
She
is-
really should prepare more for these. I prepared
Just
more
shut
for
her
my
down,
school board
you
meetings.
know? Yeah. She thought she was prepared, but so did this reporter, John.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
This guy doesn't hesitate to give you the truth either. I love that. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Homan. Everybody has respect for him. The guy's just a no-nonsense, taking care of business kind of guy. He sounds like a New York cop. He works hard. This is a guy, I've met him before. I have some pictures with him. He's a good guy. And I think he's going to do a great job. He's been talking, no doubt that he's qualified and he's an expert in this field. And the fact is that the whole immigration thing is now over, right? This guy's going to resolve that problem. He knows that he has the authority to resolve that problem, and he's going to take care of it once and for all. And we're going to see now in 2 years, just in 2 short years, Americans are going to be, that choice is going to be at the top of the ticket again, right? If we put Democrats, can we trust them to keep the border safe? Right, and I don't think that answer is going to change at all. You're going to know that their intention. If they want to win elections, they have to bring in illegal aliens, right? So no, and we're going to find that out because you're going to have that Truth Commission behind it. Yeah. So the truth. It's just such a healthy dose of truth, and I love it. And this guy's great. He's going to do great things.
Absolutely, John. And Tom Homan, he has GAF face all the time. I mean, that's him. You know what I mean? And you can tell that he's not playing around. He's not going to play. So, just an amazing pick. When I heard that, I was just, elated. That was the first one that I heard was Tom Homan.
Yeah, well, we kind of knew he was going to get that job, right? Like, I think everybody was assuming that he's going to get that job. Yeah. Trump kind of telegraphed that. We didn't know who else was going to get all these other jobs.
Yes.
But we knew that he was going to be in that.
This list so far is the absolute dream team, John. Besides maybe one or two where you're kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. But this is the dream team. I don't care what anybody says. Let's look at it so far. And thank you to Charlie Kirk for posting it. And there's some names that aren't even on this list, but we're going to go over this list. So, of course, we have Vice President J.D. Vance. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Attorney General Matt Gaetz, and that's a bombshell that we're going to talk about
And
a little bit more.
that is killing them. That is absolutely killing Democrats. They can't handle it. Even the Rhino Republicans are, having heart attacks over this. They're like, he's not going to be confirmed. We're not going to confirm. Trump. Here's the thing. Trump knows. Trump will admit that he lost that last election cycle. He won the election right in 2016. He won throughout his presidency, getting a whole bunch of great things done. But he knows that he lost compared to what his goals were. Well, this one, he's prepared. He understands the strategy. He knows how the system works. He's thinking now they're playing, multi-dimensional chess. Yes. And I'm not saying that he's going to not take a loss here or there, but the guy is really ahead of the curve. I don't think that they were expecting this much. And it's all in the public. Yeah. Right? And this is something that I can completely relate to as the school board member of Osceola County. Everything had to be public or I would have gotten killed. Yeah. So I had to make everything public. It was the only thing that saved me. It was them having to respond to what I was saying in the public sphere. So I think that he's doing a great thing. He's doing the right thing. He's picking the right people. And all of these picks, Marco Rubio, I like Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. Some people had, I think, concerns that, he might not be as right-leaning or as hard as we need him or whatever. But here's what it signals.
Me.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, myself included, right? This is a fair. If you're being fair about the assessment of these people, then you got to consider all the angles, right? No. But the reality is, here's what it tells me, is that they're gonna take a hard look at Latin America. They're gonna turn the Western Hemisphere into the hemisphere of freedom, right? They're gonna go and they're gonna make Cuba. They're gonna bring Cuba back to democracy. And it's not through war. It's just through financial incentives, through policy, through smart actions. They're going to go shore up all the freedom-loving states. They're going to use El Salvador. They're going to use Argentina as examples. They're going to work hard. They're going to probably flood cash with those two countries, with cash and great relationships that are not just good for those countries, but good for us. It's going to be worthy of our investment. That's where our foreign aid should be going, right? And all of those countries are going to shift to the right. And all of a sudden, China's not going to have any access to the Western Hemisphere anymore. Yeah. And that has been that's a big thing. And when you think about the amount of inroads that China's making in Latin America, all of a sudden you're like, oh, Trump is really ahead of the game. He's picking Marco Rubio because we're going to Latin America. We're going to go fight over Latin America right now. And I think that he's going to do it in a way that is not going to cost any American bloodshed. I think it's genius. That's a great pick. My favorite pick of all time. Pete Hegseth. Let's talk about him. He's great. That's a great pick, right? I was worried about him. I did a little research about him. I was like a news guy as DOD, but he's got some background. Okay, good. Okay. Kristi Noem, same thing. I'm like, really? Okay. Tulsi Gabbard, I was like, I don't really like anything to the left, but you look at some, at the end of the day, these are good. Susie Walz, great pick. He can actually trust her. Yeah. He's had chiefs of staff that were horrendous, right? But he can actually trust her. And he has since 2016. Yeah. Elise, Tom, we talked about Tom, but my favorite pick of all time is Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. All of these Republicans, all of these Rhino Republicans, all of these people who have been just very weak, all of these Democrats, they're all worried that the truth is going to come out. Yeah. And that when you get caught up in a law, then, he's not going to be afraid to go after you. And I love that.
Well,
I love that.
That's the big one. Pete Hegseth is an American hero. He did get 2 Bronze Stars. He is the real deal. Whoopi Goldberg was on The View making fun of him the other day, and it just shows how lowbrow The View really is, and she is as a human being.
What the hell has the View ever done? What has the View ever done? Ever?
But
what
that's
has she?
The thing. She's going after this guy. She knows nothing about him. She's saying that he doesn't even rate well enough to be on Fox and Friends during the week, that he's on the weekend show.
Yeah, I saw that a little bit.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Or you have this comment from Rachel Madcow talking about Mike Walz.
did learn for sure this evening that Trump is choosing for his national security advisor another Republican member of Congress, Congressman Mike Walz of Florida. After Congressman Walz helped in the effort to try to overthrow the U.S. government and keep Trump in power after he lost re-election in 2020, you might remember, this was an amazing Florida story, you might remember a very unusual apology being published by Congressman Walz's hometown paper, the Orlando Sentinel. It was an apology to their readers for having endorsed Mike Walz for re-election. They apologized for having endorsed him.
I pause it for a second. I would be more concerned if I were Mike Walz. I'd be more concerned with being endorsed by the Orlando Sentinel than I would about the Orlando Sentinel apologizing for endorsing me. The Orlando Sentinel's a leftist rag that has absolutely zero hold on reality. Okay, they pretty much only endorse Democrats. And of course they would write this. I'm surprised that they only try to pick people either going to guarantee the win or people on the left that they have a chance. This is just a garbage newspaper. They make it seem like this is a legitimate. We know that. Here we know
that's
that.
all she has. You know what I mean? She has that, so she's going to go with it. You know.
Who knows how deep into the
Mike
trash
Walz
bin she had to go to find the Sentinel?
By claiming that Trump was not responsible for January 6th. He also has proposed that Dulles Airport should be renamed Trump Airport.
Absolutely.
I'm down with
so
that.
Clearly, Congressman Mike Walz has checked all the boxes that he needs to be national security advisor in the second Trump presidency.
Hey, you know what? That's good enough reason for me. I think he's
MCO. Why not? Forget. He lives in Florida. Why Dulles Airport? I agree. I don't like the Dulles Airport renaming. I like MCO. Name Orlando International Airport after Trump. You know why, too? You know how great it would be to see every blue-haired liberal like get out of their car and have a fit every time they drive past the Trump sign at MCO? Oh, my gosh. That would be a great... Yeah, on the way to Disney, forget Dulles, man. Use the Orlando International Airport. Let's rename it Trump. I'm going to start a petition or something.
You know, John, you were talking about it before, the outrage from the media over Matt Gaetz, and it truly is unbelievable. Let's see a little bit of this media outrage towards Matt Gaetz.
Well, it must be the worst nomination for a cabinet position in American history. I think this is something that falls well outside the scope of deference that should be given to a president in nominating members of his senior team. Gaetz is not only totally incompetent for this job, he doesn't have the character. He is a person of moral turpitude. And notwithstanding how difficult it may be politically, this is a nomination the Republican Party should oppose.
Gotten two different texts from different people at the Justice Department who just used the word insane to respond and react to this potential appointment, and then also questioning whether Matt Gaetz can be confirmed. And one person asked me to research whether anyone had ever been nominated for the post of Attorney General who had been investigated by the Justice Department. We'll have to look into that, but my initial reading is that I can't think of any time that's ever happened in American history. And not only was Gaetz investigated and not charged, we should point out, in a sex trafficking investigation.
Oh yeah, by chance, not charged, by the way.
The top 5 most vociferous
not
critics
charged. I wonder
of the
why.
FBI and the Justice Department, and not just critics, but accusing them of being corrupt and weaponized and unethical at every single congressional hearing that ever.
That's exactly
he's on the
why
Judiciary
you would
Committee.
want him
Anytime
there.
Chris Wray, the FBI director, or Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, or other lower officials have gone before that committee, you could count on Matt Gaetz taking aim at them in very extreme language and accusing them of unethical and corrupt behavior. And so, look, I was over at the Justice Department earlier today doing some reporting on this question of how are career officials responding to this election result. What do they plan to do? There is no plan for a mass exodus among career officials. As Andrew said, they are used to serving Republicans and Democrats. They are used to changing policies on a dime and going from aggressively pursuing civil rights investigations into police departments, for example, and not doing that at all, depending on who's in office. But this kind of appointment is really striking fear and trepidation in the hearts of the career civil servants over there, because what they revere above all is respect for the law and procedure and norms. And look, we can't prejudge. I mean, Matt Gaetz may become a different person if he gets confirmed.
They got to be kidding me.
What he's
This
shown
is
so
full
far as a
of
member
crap.
Congress
I mean, come on.
is
Can you
disdain
really?
for the Department of Justice.
The more you get to know Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard, the more you're going to like her.
Look,
the more you
it's an
get to
alien.
know Matt Gaetz, the less you're going to like him.
I
I'm
used
going to be
to like
really
this
surprised
guy.
if he can get confirmed.
Right, and so would I, especially after how we blew up Kevin McCarthy. I had no plan B. You thought it was a lethal blow
No
to
plan
the House
B. We got
majority,
Mike
but it
Johnson
turns
out of it. Mike
America
Johnson's
really wanted
better than Mike
Republicans in
McCarthy,
charge.
no matter how
So
great
we'll see
and
where that goes.
dissatisfied we are with Mike Johnson. At least he's better than McCarthy.
level trolling to just trigger a full-on China syndrome to own the libs in perpetuity.
What the American people voted for, right? I mean, you know, Trump was not shy about what he wanted to do in this country. And, you know, in Matt Gaetz, he's not only going to get someone who's fiercely loyal, but fiercely competent. Matt Gaetz knows exactly what to do with the Attorney General's office. He will turn that into be most powerful Attorney General in American history. I mean,
that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
There you go. Hey, think about this, America. This is your lawyer. This is your lawyer. This is your attorney. The Attorney General is your lawyer, okay? And you want that. That's exactly what you want. You want an attorney who's not worried about offending people. He's not worried about what people think of him. He's worried about winning. He's worried about winning your case, and this is a case for America. I absolutely trust Matt Gaetz. I think this is the most consequential pick in the entire. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of great people there, right? We can say that Elon Musk and Vivek doing the Department of Government Efficiency is going to be gigantic. It's going to save us probably trillions of dollars. Who knows over how many years? But I think that this is going to keep everybody on the straight and narrow. Everybody's going to be afraid to do their corrupt things that we expect and know that they're doing. And I think that it's going to allow us to breathe in this country without being tread on, by this elitist, modern aristocratic governmental people, whether they're bureaucrats or elected. And to me, that's life-saving practically for our country.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the announcements that was made just today that really upset a big pharma was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being appointed to Secretary of Health and Human Services. And immediately their stocks tanked moments after the announcement was made. Moderna was down 6%, Pfizer down 2.6%. They are not happy about this, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But the real big news,
this is the scary part is that we all saw this. We saw this already. We've seen it happen. We've seen this play out because we saw it with the cigarette companies, right? We saw this behavior with the cigarette companies, the pharmaceutical companies, the food companies that are processing foods and poisoning our kids. The food companies, the cigarette companies, the pharmaceutical companies are the same, right? They're the same. And the people are coming up. Thank God that Amendment 4 didn't pass. Amendment 3 didn't pass in Florida because the marijuana organization, the apparatus of the marijuana associations, that's the next one. And so thank God they got defeated. But we're looking at an out of control corporatist takeover of the United States, which has been a negative outcome for Americans in general. They control. Well, I guess we're going to talk about it, so I'm not gonna do the spoiler. But it's just we need to watch what they do. This is super important in terms of your life and the future, your grandkids and your kids. This is extremely important. The people that have been picked for these roles, especially that RFK Jr.
Yeah, and John, they talked about how Matt Gaetz is not going to get confirmed for this role. Well, Thomas Massey was cornered on this, and he was asked about it, and he said, well, it's going to be a recess appointment, so suck it up. It's going to happen. It's going to be Matt Gaetz. And I think one of the theories that's going around is that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump did not get involved in the Senate Majority Leader fight. And let's talk about that first, and then we'll go to the theory. But anyway, there was the big fight over the Senate Majority Leader, and it was happening all last week up until Wednesday when they had the vote. You know, it was between John Cornyn, John Thune, and Senator Rick Scott. And here are their Liberty scores.
We didn't have this image when we prepped for the show. I love this image. What a great, and listen, and that F isn't like F you failed. F is like you are effed with these guys. Okay, these guys are effers. That's what this F stands for. These guys are bad news. Rick Scott should have been the guy. And it really stinks that Thune got it. I guess maybe Thune is not as bad as Cornyn, maybe. But the bottom line is...
Actually, Thune got 51% and Cornyn got 54%. So
yeah.
Thune was the worst out of the bunch, according to the Liberty score here. But
well, I'm just saying that in terms of honesty, in terms of integrity, I think that Cornyn has been really bad. So he might have a 54. Maybe his voting record is slightly better, but this is more than voting record. This is about the future of your country being in the hands of someone who's very powerful. And I would not trust John Cornyn, like I've said about a lot of these politicians in Osceola County, to walk my dog, much less lead the Senate.
Well, I mean, there was a big pressure campaign on social media, on X, to get Rick Scott and to get these senators to vote for Rick Scott. Obviously, we got Thune, and that's what happened. The new majority leader is John Thune, and he made a statement after the vote, and he promises to be a leader who serves the entire Republican conference. Here he is.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. It's a new day in the United States Senate, and it's a new day in America. The American people have loudly rejected the failed policies of the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda. And this Republican team is united. We are on one team. We are excited to reclaim the majority and to get to work with our colleagues in the House to enact President Trump's agenda. We have a mandate from the American people. A mandate not only to clean up the mess left by the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda, but also to deliver on President Trump's priorities. We will make sure that the President and his team have the tools and the support that they need to enforce border security laws and to remove the violent criminals who are wreaking havoc in every one of our states. We will work to make America prosperous again by streamlining the bureaucratic machine and overturning costly Biden-Harris regulations. And we will work to restore American energy dominance. Not just our energy security, but energy dominance, which will lower costs and bolster our national security. I'm excited to get to work with this team right away. And I want to thank my colleagues who placed their faith in me to serve as leader, and to those who were supporting another candidate. I promise to be a leader who serves the entire Republican conference. We'll have...
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, that's
John,
not convincing.
I'm going to tell you that this theory that's been going around, and this is what I was going to talk about before, was that President Trump didn't get involved in this. He didn't make an endorsement in this majority leader race, even though everyone wanted Rick Scott, including President Trump and J.D. Vance, but they didn't get involved. But the theory is that they've already talked to Thune and said, give us our recess appointments. And Thune might have agreed to that. And that's why they didn't get involved.
Right?
Yep, to stay out of it. And we also know that Elon Musk went before the House Republicans when they were having their meeting and told them, if you go against President Trump's agenda, I'm going to fund primary challengers to you. So that threat was put out there to these rhinos and others that are in elected positions, that if you go against President Trump's agenda, you're going to get primaried.
You're going to lose your seat.
Yeah, so, I mean... President Trump is always playing chess, and he's playing 3 steps ahead of everybody else. I think
he is this time for sure.
Matt Gaetz
because you only have 2. Here's the thing: these guys are not used to working quickly, and in Trump's mind, he's got 2 years. So he's doing everything he can in 2 years to make all these things happen. And if you get in his way, It's like you are a cornerback and he is a 265-pound fullback about to crush your ribs. So he is not going to take it easy. Elon Musk is after it too, getting involved. These guys aren't leaving. This is not an election like we've seen in the past where people come, they win, everybody goes home. You have everybody there. It's just like when they shot him on stage in Pennsylvania, all those people stayed, right? He's screaming, shout, shout, shout. If it had been anybody else, that whole area would have been empty. The people would have scattered. They would have left. But no one could detach themselves from the situation. Yeah. And so Trump gets up. He, shout, fight, fight, fight. And that's exactly what we see him doing. And there's no one who's departing. The election is over. But all Americans are still vested in the outcome because this is about our country. It's not just about an election. It's not about Trump winning. This is about our country. And Americans are still fighting. And I think we're going to fight for 2 years. We're going to see what happens in 2 years. We're going to fight for 2 years after that. Then we're going to fight for the next 4 years after that, where J.D. Vance is probably going to be the president of the United States. And we're going to fight hard then. And this is really, it's up to Republicans to lose because the Democrats are essentially completely scattered from the battlefield.
Yeah. John, he's got 2 years with this trifecta because we did win the House too. Yeah. So we have the trifecta. We got all three branches of government. So he's got to make this happen fast because in 2 years it could be gone and we could lose one of those branches of government. But the only thing that worries me about Thune is this, John.
Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. Would you support him?
Well, I'm hoping, Leanne, to have other options.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Thune, and that's why nobody wanted him. And the same for Cornyn.
That was Thune,
he had
not just in 2016.
Like
all right. That's not just him in 2016. That was him throughout he's basically been against Trump the entire time. And if he drags his feet,
and so has Cornyn. So
yeah. If he drags his feet, I think that the Americans are going to put a lot of heat on him. Listen, I want to take a quick moment here to say thank you to everybody who's watching. The first person who shares the show, now we're making a timestamp at 8:30 p.m. First person who takes the show wins one of these. Here's what we're giving out today on our 250th episode of Unsanctioned. We're giving away these Trump trading cards. 20. I guess what is it? It says here it's 23 karat gold. Sorry, not 24. 23 karat gold. I don't know. I haven't bitten into it yet, but that's what it says it is. We're gonna give these out. I got a handful of them. I also have some unsanctioned swag that we're giving away. Unapologetic Patriot T-shirts and what do they call those cups? Those steel cups. I forgot already. I said it earlier. So we're giving away some swag too. So first two people who share the show, we'll give something else. So please like and share the show, not just for the swag, but to help us out, and we'll hook you up with some swag.
Absolutely. One other thing that happened this past week, John, was a commentator on CNN, of all places, of course, CNN, urges President Biden to resign from the presidency and make Kamala Harris the president.
What a great move, huh?
So that she does not have to certify Trump's election results, says this Democrat, and that they should learn drama. Watch this.
71 days from Trump taking the oath of office. What is the most important thing that everybody is looking for? That is my question. I'll start with you.
Joe Biden's been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her from being able to from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public want to see. Is the time. This is the moment for us to change the entire perspective of how Democrats
operate. This has now jumped from an internet meme to a Sunday morning show.
Jamal's out here right now.
Congratulations.
Season of House of Cards.
I thought you were going to say, what about the Supreme Court? That's also out there.
Well, the Supreme Court might happen. I don't know if it will, but I think this is something that's in Joe Biden's control. And if he did it, it would fulfill his last promise. It would give Kamala Harris the chance to be the 47th president of the United States of America. It would disrupt all of Donald Trump's paraphernalia, right? You have to rebrand everything. But she would, and it would make it easier for the next woman who runs for president to not have to worry about all the historical, weight of being the first. We can solve this problem.
Listen, this is craziness. This guy is fantasizing. The rest of the segment of this show is pretty funny, actually, where the guy tells him, I'm gonna say something realistic, and of course, number one, this would never happen. Biden doesn't even like Kamala, much less is he going to do this just so that she can.
I was going to say that. He doesn't even like Kamala Harris. He was all smiles when he was with President Trump yesterday. So, I mean,
he put a Trump hat on during the elections. What does that tell you? He absolutely does not like Kamala Harris. He does not. You think he's worried about helping her save her dignity, and having to certify these elections? No, he wants her to certify these elections to know that he should have been the guy that ran against Trump. Although I think that he would have lost as well. But nonetheless, he thinks that he would have won, and he's resentful. He's a resentful old man. It's why nobody likes him. It's why he looks all angry all the time. He's bitter, more bitter than ever after being pulled from stage with a hook. It was pretty bad. And so he's not going to spare her. That's not going to happen. It would be pretty funny. That would be, because Fetterman talked about a God level troll that Matt Gaetz pick was, which is, I agree, right? Aside from all the reasons that I said I like it, it is God level trolling, right? What dignity? Rachel saying, yeah, no, of course, you're right. But it's this is a whole other thing. You're talking about circumventing the process that belongs to the people for your own pride. Are you crazy? What is wrong with you? And there's a reason that guy said House of Cards, and there's a reason that House of Cards is used to describe politics, because the slightest wind blows the whole thing over. And that's exactly what the Biden administration was, a house of cards, which got blown completely over. And it got blown completely over because they had no real foundation, no policy, nothing, right? And it was nothing but an experiment in DEI, which failed miserably.
Absolutely. That's what they
Thank you for sharing, Michael. Yep, absolutely. And they campaigned on it. You're 100% right.
They campaigned on abortion. That was their number one thing going into this election. They had nothing else.
Not only was it their
Trump
number one thing,
focused on the issues, the real issues that were
you're
affecting
100%
all
right.
of us. And
absolutely.
They were focused on abortion.
Well, and they were focused on abortion as the jewel in their crown, right? Yeah. And that was the most moderate stance that they had throughout the entire election. Everything else was to the left of abortion. And taxpayer-funded abortion is not a moderate position. You had to be absolutely dedicated to killing babies first, and everything else after that, right? If the baby survived the pregnancy, then we want to cut their genitals off. If they're a girl, we want to remove their healthy breasts. It was like it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's what makes that devil video at the beginning of the show so clever.
Yeah, because it's true. It's so
absolutely
true. It's so true. All right, John. So before we go across the nation, we have this important message from No Cry Cryo. And why don't you tell us a little bit about this, John?
Well, okay, so the reason that we put this ad on is because a lot of people have thought, we're really hard on the left. I've had some people tell me that I needed to move a little bit to the center. And listen, we like the feedback. Yeah. I don't think that we're going to change our position, but what we've done as a happy medium is to start we decided we were going to air this commercial of a company that specifically talks to the left, and maybe that'll bring us some left-leaning viewers.
This might help you.
After the recent presidential election, here at Don't Cry Cryo, we understand your pain, and we're here to help. Our expert team of cryogenic care providers can cryogenically freeze you until the Trump presidency has ended. No more crying, no more anxiety attacks, just blissful sleep until Trump is gone. When you awaken from your slumber, we'll even have a party ready and waiting for you. It will be like his presidency never even happened. It was all just a bad dream. As an added bonus, you can choose the Vance add-on package. We'll extend your sleep for an additional 4 years at a 50% discount in the event J.D. Vance wins the next presidential election. Everything will be okay. We're here to take care of you in your time of need. So remember, don't cry, cryo. Oh, please tell me it's over. Wait, something isn't right.
This is your captain, Elon Musk. I want to be the first one to welcome you to Mars. Sorry, Donald Trump Jr. was just elected president, and he deported all Don't Cry Cryo customers to Mars.
What the...
Yeah, well, welcome to Mars, everyone. If you're left leaning, we gotta flee. Now, there was another company where they cut your head off and they freeze your brain. I thought that one was more appropriate. Tom thought that this trip to Mars was. So
it's a little bit kinder, I mean, might be not too kind when you wake up, but hey, you won't have to live through this. So starting this off, John. Like we said, we talked about RFK's appointment, and Big Pharma knew this was coming. They knew it was coming.
Yep.
And they were freaking out about this. And just watch this video.
VigilantNews.com reports that top 5 Big Pharma CEOs hold an emergency meeting after Trump's landslide victory. In conjunction with Gateway Pundit, after former President Trump's massive election victory, the top executives of Big Pharma were reportedly scrambling to protect their influence over U.S. healthcare. Sources indicate that the heads of the 5 major pharmaceutical companies, definitely not a cartel except they all meet together, held an emergency teleconference on Wednesday to address the potential fallout from a Trump administration that has vowed to disrupt Big Pharma's hold on America. Goes on to explain that New Jersey Assemblyman and advisor to Robert Kennedy Jr., Jamal Hawley, shared the breaking news on X on Wednesday, stating, sources tell me top 5 CEOs of pharmaceutical companies are holding an emergency teleconference at 1 p.m. A lawyer has confirmed that everyone is in a state of panic. And the problem with this is, and I'm just going to make a quick comment, is, one of the main reasons why I think, RFK, it's well known, he's a Kennedy. He likes to sleep with women, okay? That's probably about as normal as it can get in D.C. anyways.
He's
at least,
flesh and blood. He's a man.
Yeah, there's no children involved, so at least...
We got off with a different podcast there for a minute. But, yeah, that was Vigilant News. Vigilant News is great. They are on X. And if you're on X, follow Vigilant News if you want to know important news that you probably won't get from the mainstream media. Anyway.
And this is pretty important. What does it tell you? It tells you that the pharmaceutical companies, they are panicked, and they're not panicked because of their business model. I don't think they're panicked because in their business model, in their 5-year strategic plan, what they don't have is a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit settlement with the American people. Yeah. That's what they're not. That's not. And now that you have Matt Gaetz there and you have RFK on the other side over there, you might find them the Attorney General prosecuting some of these executives at pharmaceutical companies who are not only dealing corruptly with the FDA, but also making some kind of large-scale untruths, just like the cigarette companies were, saying that nicotine's not addictive, while knowing that it was addictive, saying that they had provided some health benefits and so on and so forth. So it's possible that we see something like this happen.
Absolutely. And it needs to happen, especially after what we just went through with the COVID
You need to know
vaccines.
what we're eating. I mean, come on. I recently read a story that people have been, you can juice, for example, strawberries, and the amount of pesticides that come out of a juiced strawberry is enough to spray another crop of strawberries. So what does that tell you? I mean, we really are, our lives, really need to be taken more seriously than just a profit for a pharmaceutical company, for BlackRock,
Absolutely.
I mean.
Absolutely, John. Well, Big Pharma is not the only ones that are freaking out over all this. There's a panic in D.C. as National Security Attorney Mark Zaid tells CNN's John Berman he is advising some of his clients who are targets or supposed targets of President-elect Trump to leave the country around Inauguration Day. This is unbelievable, John. Watch this.
Thanks so much for being with us. And this is kind of a little bit of a separate subject, although tangentially related to what Kate was just talking about there. But you are advising clients who are worried about retribution from the incoming Trump administration, revenge. And I was reading an article where you said you were counseling some people to leave the country. Why?
Well, look, Donald Trump and those in his inner circle have been very clear over the period of time, and especially during the campaign, that they do intend to retaliate, and they do intend to retaliate swiftly. They've made those promises. He said that he intends to have his second administration one that fulfills promises. So it would be naive and foolish for us not to take any of this seriously. And we're preparing. Now, I've represented a lot of clients who have been specific targets of President Trump and those around him. We're not just talking about my federal employee workers in different agencies who are uncomfortable, like you've just heard in this last segment. We're talking about people who have been specifically called out by the former president of the United States. And we're not rushing to it. I'm not saying sell your home, move overseas, never come back, become an expat. I'm telling certain clients, a small number, that, you know what, take a vacation for inauguration and let's see what happens in the days or week or two afterwards.
Leave the country. Leave the country. Listen,
why would they want to do that? Why would they want to do that if there's nothing
if you were one of these guys,
you didn't do anything wrong, right?
I'm not telling them that they have to leave forever. I'm just saying wait out the statute of limitations and then come back. That's all I'm saying. I mean, give me a break. This is incredible. A lawyer is advising his clients who sound like bureaucrats and politicians in D.C. to leave the country. I mean, come on. This is nuts. This is nuts. He knows that they've done stuff wrong, right? Absolutely. And he might even be off talking about people who went to Epstein Island. You know, I mean, if you're this kind of douchebag that, you know, has been, you know, taking advantage of the American people, get ready to pay for it. I'm okay with that. No. I am okay with that.
You don't know if they've been to Diddy parties or what the deal is, but
same thing. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Any of that kind of, you know, and here's the thing. We're not just talking about
51 intelligence agents that signed off on.
That's exactly where I was going. I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about, you know, sexual deviants, right? Like we have those here in Osceola County. I'm talking about the people who have precious American interests in the palm of their hand. And what do? They squander it. They lie. They benefit themselves. People who act like Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua or anywhere else, like with the Castro brothers, get them out of here. Yeah. Prosecute them, and let's get down to business.
Well, one person we'd want to get out, and probably President Trump wants to get out too, but is saying he's not going anywhere, is Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. He says that he answers to no one and he's above the law. Listen to this, John.
Federal government's fiscal policy is on an unsustainable path. The level of our debt relative to the economy is not unsustainable. The path is unsustainable.
Do you believe the president has the power to fire or demote you, and has the Fed determined the legality of a president demoting at will any of the other governors with leadership positions?
Not permitted under the law.
Not what?
Not permitted under the law.
Thank you.
Another economic hangover after the pandemic is a sharp increase in the national debt. 30 years from now, it is projected to be $144 trillion, or $1 million per household.
How do you assess the national debt?
We mostly try very hard not to comment on fiscal policy and instruct Congress on how to do their job when actually they have oversight over us.
But is the national debt a danger to the economy, in your view?
In the long run, the U.S. is on an unsustainable fiscal path. The U.S. federal government's on an unsustainable fiscal path, and that just means that the debt is growing faster than the economy.
I have the sense this worries you very much.
Over the long run, of course it does. We're borrowing from future generations. It's time for us to get back to putting a priority on fiscal sustainability, and sooner is better than later. We don't want the labor market to soften much from here. We don't think we need that to happen to get inflation back to 2%.
Victoria.
Hi, Victoria Guido with Politico. Some of the president-elect's advisors have suggested that you should resign. If he asked you to leave, would you go?
No.
Can you follow up on, do you think that legally you're not required to leave?
No.
What is the proper relationship, what should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter. And I've had very good relationships with presidents. Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency